invite the first speaker, Miss Sayidana Brannan-Douglas from Sister to Sister International, to take the floor.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you
Hello.
so much for that wonderful introduction. I am so excited to be here with you all today, and I am going to share my presentation where I will be talking about economic equity through entrepreneurship. So let's share here and play from the start. Are you all able to see it? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. So, just a little bit of background on me. My name is Sayidana Brannan-Douglas. I am the founder of SBD Digital Media, where I do video content creation and strategy. And I'm also focusing in on documentary style video and filmmaking. And so I started my business while in college, and I graduated from Stony Brook University in New York, and I have my bachelor's of science from that university as well as my master's. And my recent work is that I just created a short film called Ownership, which debuted and premiered in February for Black History Month. And it features young Black entrepreneurs in New York, and it explores why it makes a difference to buy from and own from Black-owned businesses. And so I'm actually going to share an excerpt from that short film for you today and give you the information on where you can watch the entire short film for free. So you can connect with me at sbddigitalmedia.com and also on social media at sbddigitalmedia.
Okay.
And moving to the next one. So first, why does entrepreneurship matter? So there's a number of reasons, but to first go over some of the main larger ones is that it's a method to build wealth. It opens up more economic opportunities that can last for generations and really create a legacy within a family. It also ownership also determines control. It allows you to make decisions about the values, employees, and distribution of the businesses. So when some of these current businesses are disrespecting Black people's culture and are offensive, then we have options on Black-owned businesses where we can spend our money where we feel valued as a customer. And then also it increases the economic prosperity of entire communities. So and does that through innovation, job creation, and money circulation. So this is really a large perspective. And when we look at the current American racial wealth gap, we have the average net worth of a Black family is $17,000. And the average net worth of a white family is $171,000. So that's almost 11 times higher. And this is a huge disparity here. And net worth is your assets minus your debts. And that's how you get your net worth. And this is really where we have to create the economic equity. And so if we look at how did we get here, first from a United States perspective at this very brief timeline. So first looking at 1619, when the first enslaved Africans were forced to come to the United States. By 1865, it was 250 plus years that enslaved Africans had labored in this country, and their labor was worth up to $50 trillion. $50 trillion. A lot of historians have done a lot of background on this. And this is really the labor that allowed America to go from a handful of small colonies to a massively wealthy country, except none of that wealth went to the Black people who were working for it. And so when the Civil War ended and enslaved Africans had fought for their freedom in the Civil War, President Lincoln signed an order, which was Special Field Order number 15, to issue reparations to previously enslaved Africans. And that was supposed to be in the form of 40 acres and a mule. But then after President Lincoln was assassinated, his successor, President Johnson, did not issue the reparations, and he allowed white Southern treasoners who had just committed treason against the Union to keep their land, while the previously enslaved Africans were starting out with now no land, no reparations. So this was a huge disparity from the start, and that accelerated the racial wealth gap to bring us to where we are now in 2021, where the average white family has almost 10 times higher of a net worth than the average Black family. So this is where we need to do the work to make the change. And now when we look at it globally, and we look at this map of colonialism, we can see where European countries colonized many different nations, particularly in Africa and in the Caribbean. And this was also their form of entrepreneurship, but it was exploitation, where they were exploiting the natural resources that grew in these Black nations, and they were keeping the wealth while exploiting the Black people who lived there, again creating that economic equity, this time on a global perspective. So we have established that entrepreneurship is a way to gain back some of that control and build that wealth. And so we see that there are not as many Black businesses. So what would help more Black people start, sustain, and grow more businesses? Increased access to capital, information, and mentorship. So when we first look at access to capital, capital is another word for money. And money is one of the most important assets necessary when you are going to build a business. But because of the racial wealth gap, Black people do not have as much access to that money. So what are some ways that we can increase access to capital for Black people? One way is through reparations. The US government still owes money to the descendants of enslaved Africans, and we all need to be advocating that reparations are administered. Then business grants, money issued by the government or corporation that does not need to be repaid. It is given to the businesses, and it's very common practice, and it does not need to be repaid. And then buying from Black-owned businesses. This is a responsibility of all of us. Where you spend your money is your buying power, and you need to be very intentional to spend your money with Black-owned businesses. Access to information, when we, as the next necessary resource, when we look at the internet and social media, it has revolutionized who is able to have control over accessing information. Even if we just look at today's wonderful event, for example, I am here in New York, but there are people viewing from all over the world, and we are able to have this share of access of information. So this reduces an entrepreneur's financial barrier to enter the market and gives them direct access to customers. And then access to mentorship as the third necessary resource. Those mentorships programs that exist currently need to be recruiting more Black mentors so that growing entrepreneurs can receive guidance from those who look like them. And also offering scholarships to, again, reduce that barrier of lack of capital to be able to access mentorship, and as well as starting mentoring programs in the schools, because this earlier access means earlier success and opportunity. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I created a short film called Ownership, which highlights the next generation of Black-owned businesses that premiered in February. And I would love to show you all the beginning excerpt of that short film, and then let you know exactly where you can go to be able to watch the full short film at ownershipfilm.com. So I'm going to share it with you all now.
The American dream is a really good marketing strategy. It's centered around the idea that everyone has equal opportunity to rise to financial success in this country through hard work. So then when we see Black people at a lower socioeconomic status, the assumption is, well, they just must not be working hard enough. But that's not true. What the American dream doesn't show are the systemic barriers that aim to keep Black people from rising to financial success in greater numbers that have nothing to do with how hard they work. One of the most significant barriers is the access to the resources necessary to start, grow, and sustain a business as a means of having ownership and building wealth. Black entrepreneurs have long played a crucial role in America's economic success. For instance, Garrett Morgan, who invented the 3-light traffic light, and Lewis Latimer, who invented the carbon filament for the light bulb. Also Mark Dean, who co-invented the IBM PC monitor and gigahertz chip, and Marie Van Britten Brown, who invented the first home security system. However, many times, Black people's economic pursuits were prevented by racism, like in the case of Black Wall Street. It was a community of over 30 streets of Black-owned businesses in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was burned down in 1921 by racist segregationist rioters. Now, the next generation of Black-owned businesses are on the rise. Black millennials and Gen Z are starting businesses younger and growing them larger. Many start by finding ways to monetize their interest and skills. I started SBD Digital Media while in college by doing videography for student clubs on campus. Now I'm pursuing it full-time after graduating. New York is a breeding ground for Black entrepreneurs, with the greatest number of Black-owned businesses in the country.
I was always into like creative things when high school. Fashion was one thing that's, is a very big thing in New York, of course. When I seen how people react when I used to wear a lot of things in high school, I was like, oh, maybe I should start creating things. Today we dropping new pants, new jackets, new sweaters. Hopefully people see what I create and be inspired. I'm actually grateful and happy that I'm doing it with a family member of mine, because he's not only just a business partner, he's also a family member. Sometimes we hit a wall, but we always overcome it. Growing this business together since we was in high school, and then going through college, and then graduating after college, and still doing it with the same people that's around us is very fulfilling.
Great. So that was the short excerpt. It was the first 3 minutes of the film. It's about 20 minutes long. It's a short film. And so as I showed there at the end, which I'm just going to bring back up on the screen for you to be able to see, is that you can go to ownershipfilm.com to watch the full short film, and please watch and subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a comment to share your thoughts on what you saw. You saw that you had some featuring of young Black entrepreneurs, and there's many others who were also featured in the film, and let me know that you came from today's event. So thank you all so much for this opportunity to present. I very much appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing the next speakers. Thank you.